Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to present a research topic. The title is Valuation of Ecosystem Services of Mangrove Forest in Cambodia. So we will do in two parts. The first part is mine, and the second part, Pierre-Alexandre will make the presentation. Okay, first we would like to, before the presentation, we would like to thank the people who support our research project, which is the dockside the dockside representatives, the Dr. Professor Thomas and Ria, and also the dockside representative from OUA, the Dr. Niang Malin and Dr. Chai Kim. And also he also want to say something.
Yeah, just a couple of words to thank all the persons involved in the research project. It's a real honor being here, and thanks very much. So then
Okay, also I would like to thank the survey team, because this survey was supported by the dockside project, and we also have the survey team in the field. So there are 8 surveyors. So they went together to the field and they conducted the survey for several days, and we got the data for the analysis. So thanks to them.
Yeah, thanks to them, because it's difficult, so we'll come back to it later, but with this kind of methods to collect the data, so yeah, thanks to them.
Okay, here is the the contents of our presentation. There's several points like this, and first, as the MC has introduced, this research was a collaborative project between me and Pierre-Alexandre from the University of Nantes. So actually we are from 2 different backgrounds. I'm more on geography and he's from the economics. So before the research project started, we discussed together, and we want to combine our field and our expertise. So in order to make the research more valuable. Okay, so like you can see in the red color and the green color, so it's like valuation, economic valuation is his expertise, and for me I'm more on the ecosystem services and mangrove forest in Cambodia. So we used our expertise together. Okay, so because I'm not very familiar with the economic valuation method. So this method is mainly from Pierre-Alexandre, and he's very experienced in the valuation method, especially the non-market valuation. So here is our calendar. So our project started since last year in the previous summer school in Battambang University that was supported by the dockside project. So at first we have the research proposal, and we agreed together to start that project. And several months later, we conducted a literature review, and also after that we designed the survey. So after we have the survey design, we hire the field staff, and we conduct the data collection. And after that, the data analysis, and now we have some preliminary result to present in this workshop. Okay, and also in the process of this research, I also had a chance to visit the University of Nantes. So I stayed there for several weeks, and I worked with him, and had a lot of discussion about my research, and we also designed the questionnaire. And after I came back, I did the survey. Okay, and today, like as I have said, we will present the preliminary result, but the next step, we plan to try to write a joint article, and we will discuss the also result to the policymakers. And in December, we are supposed to submit the article to maybe a journal that combines the economics and the environment. For example, like ecological economics journal. Okay, the first part just like introduction, but now I'm going to the main part, which first I would like to talk about the mangrove status in the world and in Cambodia. So as you can see the pictures, it is the mangrove forest in the southwest part of Cambodia. So as a definition, mangrove is a shrub or tree that grows in the coastal water. So and mangrove only exists in only in the tropical and subtropical areas where the temperature is suitable for those kind of trees. And this is the more precise image, which is the mangrove trees. And you can see the leaves and the roots of the mangrove are very unique. Okay, and in the world, as you can see in the map, the mangrove forest exists only in the tropical and subtropical areas. So the total area of the global mangrove is about 137,760 square kilometers. And according to Valila et al. 2001, 35% of the mangrove forest were lost over the last 2 decades. So this is a big loss of the forest, and it became a very hot topic and very and attract the interest of the researcher and the government of the country that the forests have been lost a lot. Yeah, and in the in the world, there are more than 50 mangrove species. As I show in the picture before, it was just one species of mangrove forest that is common in most part of the world. But there are also a lot of mangrove species, as you can see in this picture. So here are the Asian mangrove forest mangrove species. And the most common one is this one, is the Rhizophora species. Okay, the next is the mangrove forest in Cambodia. As you can see in the map, the Cambodia has a coastal line of about 440 kilometers long. So, and the mangrove exists along this coastline. And the map on the right, on the left, is the mangrove forest. Here is the mangrove forest area. If you look at the data from satellite images that shows the mangrove forest from extent from 2000 to 2017 in Cambodia, we can see that there are a decreasing trend of the forest. So every year the forests are decreasing, and you can see the trend line is steadily decreasing. So this is a concern. So yeah, and the decreasing can be caused by some reasons. The first is the conversion to agricultural land, and because as the population is increasing, they need the land for cultivating. So this is one reason, and also urban development is also a reason for the loss of mangrove. And the overuse of the mangrove forest, for example, the cutting down of the forest to produce the charcoal or for the wooden product. And aquaculture is kind of a very important reason because not only in Cambodia but also in the neighboring countries like Vietnam and Thailand, they create the shrimp farm. So the shrimp farm usually they need to cut down the forest and make the shrimp farm. So it is said that the aquaculture is the main reason for the loss of mangrove forest. And recently, some researchers found that the sea level rise and climate change have also have been considered as a threat to mangrove forest because some forests have died because of this kind of problem. Okay, but even though the mangrove have been lost, so there are some conservation efforts in Cambodia. So there are some projects to replant and to protect the mangrove forest. So like, for example, a project by the government and also by the organization like Mangrove for the Future and IUCN, for example. So usually these projects mainly are supported by the international organization, but there are also some initiative from the Cambodian government also. Okay, next is the ecosystem good or services of the mangrove. So as you can see in this diagram, there are many ecosystem services that are generated by mangrove forest. For example, for fisheries, so mangrove forest is considered as a spawning ground for fish. For tourism, so people go to the forest and to sightseeing or for the recreation, and also water filtration, which is because mangrove forest it can clean the water before they go into the sea, because they have the very complex system of the roots, so they can trap the trash or the pollution from the inland, so they can protect the water, the sea water. And also some coastal protection, like in the case in Indonesian tsunami, mangrove have been a research show that mangrove have helped the people who live behind the mangrove forest. So the effect of the tsunami is less than the area that have no mangrove. And also mangrove provides some woods and and then one more is the climate regulation, which means that the mangrove can store a lot of carbon dioxide. So mangrove is the primary carbon stock. And this carbon stock is can be higher than in other forests. So next, I would like to go a little more detail about the ecosystem, several ecosystem. Like for example, the first one is biodiversity, which in the mangrove forest, the biodiversity is very rich compared to other inland forest. And another service is carbon storage. You know, the mangrove have a lot of leaves, and the leaves can absorb the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And also the soil and the roots, the underground soil, or the soil can also absorb a lot of carbons. It store a lot of carbon. But also mangrove, like other forests, also emit the carbon to the atmosphere. But mainly it store a lot of carbon. And water clarification, as I mentioned before, the mangrove forest have a lot of roots, and so it can trap the pollution from the inland and also trap the trash. So the water can be cleaner. So the mangrove forest may disappear or may decrease in the future if we have no measure to protect them. So to save the mangrove forest, we don't just go and do something. So we need some cost. So if in some area we can people just volunteer to replant the mangrove or to do some activity that help, but we can't do this without the cost. So according to the economic analysis, if the benefits if there are more benefit than cost, so we can implement the project. If the benefit is less than cost, people don't have the desire to implement the project to protect the mangrove forest. And for the several goods and services that I have mentioned about, mainly are the non-market goods. Because non-market goods mean the good that we don't have the exact value that because they are not sold in the market, so we don't have the value of those goods. And so these are biodiversity, carbon dioxide, water clarification. And our research, we will focus on the valuation of these non-market goods for in this case of mangrove forest. And the benefits need to express in the monetary term. Because if we just say, oh, this is the value of these ecosystem services are high, but we don't know how high is it. So we need to show that in the monetary terms. So in order to compare with the cost of restoration or of conservation of those mangrove forests. So we can say that this is not a good it's not an easy task to estimate the ecosystem service that has no market. So, and we discussed that we will use the choice experiment for valuation of this mangrove ecosystem service or goods. Okay, from this part, I will give the floor to my colleague to present. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So we use the choice experiment, which is a specific method, and we call it stated preferences. So there are different kind of stated preferences, and choice experiment is becoming the reference, the most popular stated preferences. And so we use this method to measure the services provided by the mangroves. And to give you a general idea of this kind of methods, so it's based on Lancaster theory. So the idea that the value of a good or service depends on the value of each of the characteristics of the good. And if we want even to simplify, if we want to simplify a lot, we'll see that the value of a product is the sum to the value of each of the products. And so this method is becoming very popular. So there are now many publications based on these methods. And first, this methods was used in marketing literature, and then it has been used in other fields like transportation, health, environment, and so I'll go more. I'll give you just an idea of the methods, and I'll try to give you a very easy example to understand. So let's consider a person. Let's call her Sophie. She wants to open a bakery in Cambodia and to sell croissant. So I'm sure you know croissant. But it's very popular in France. We usually eat it in the morning with a tea or a coffee. But if Sophie, she wants to open a bakery in Cambodia, she has to get some idea of the preferences in Cambodia, because the taste maybe different in Cambodia and France. So she may want to apply. Let's say she attended a course on market valuation. She knows about choice experiment, and she wants to apply these methods to know more about the preferences of the Cambodian people. So the idea again is to get some idea about the taste, about the preference of people, and this she will use this information to select the product and also to set the price. So first, she will consider the most important characteristic of the goods. So let's get something simple. So let's say that for the croissant, its size, whether it's crispy or not, whether there are almonds or not in the croissant, and the price. So what she's going to do, Sophie, is to construct hypothetical croissant. So she's going to vary the characteristic of the good, and she's going to make a survey, and people are going to make some choices. So here in this very easy example, the participant of the survey, so let's say someone in the street which is survey and she's asked to give her opinion, she'll have to choose between one of the two croissants. She can also select like I will not buy any croissant. So, and then this kind of exercise is going to be repeated several times. So she say, I'll show this, I'll show that, I'll show this. So each time it's different hypothetical croissant. And then Sophie, she'll get some idea about the preferences of people. So now I'll express things in terms of willingness to pay, because in economics, if I simplify things, we consider that the value of a thing is directly related to the willingness to pay. How much people are willing to pay for the good. And so this method is very informative because it gives you information on the willingness to pay for a given characteristic of the product or the total product. So I'll take an example. So let's say she did the survey, and then she performed some statistical analysis, and then she can find that going from a standard croissant to a big one, that people on average they are willing to pay, let's say, 200 real more. But maybe she will like to sell only one croissant because it's easier for her. So she like to get some information on the willingness to pay for a given combination of the characteristics. So the willingness to pay for a given good. So here croissant. So if she would like to sell a croissant with almond inside and which is crispy, so she'll get some statistical analysis, and she may find, for example, that people on average, from going to nothing to this croissant, they are willing to pay 693 real. So it's just an example of what can be done with this method. So just to finish, so thanks to the choice experiment, so she'll get some information. Let's say she opened her bakery, and so since she got some information on the preferences of the people, she may avoid showing a good which is disliked like most people. So here I found on the internet a picture of, I don't know it exists, croissant, hamburger croissant. Doesn't sound very good, but. So the objective of our research program is to use this kind of methods, but to value ecosystem services. So the services that has been pointed out by Sophak before, biodiversity, water clarification, carbon storage. And so for each of these services, we'd like to get information on the willingness to pay. And so the survey is really a very important step when we do a choice experiment, because if the survey it's not done properly, then whatever the statistical tools, even very sophisticated one, then you can do nothing based on the survey. And so what is good is that Sophak went to Nantes to work on the questionnaire, which is very important. And Sophak, he really spent time trying to understand the methods and how it works, the different bias, because there is, for example, you may know hypothetical bias. So there are different cognitive bias or anchoring effect. And yeah, so he spent lots of effort, and he really managed to understand the method, which is quite difficult. It was very impressive, and also what made me think that he really spent time and he really understood and all the different aspects of the method. He then later, when he came back to Cambodia, he ran the survey, and this is not an easy task, running a survey. It's not you have a questionnaire, you give it to people and you say, okay, please fill the questionnaire. Because there are people that tend to ask questions, you really need to understand the methods. And as I'll say in a few seconds, we got very good results. Yeah, and I think it's thanks to Sophak really spend time in Nantes, understanding the methods, and we work on the questionnaire together. And so yeah, it's very good for the rest of this research project. So at the end, Sophak ran the survey. So he trained some students to do the survey, which is again not an easy task. And at the end, we got 232 completed surveys. So the questionnaire was structured as follows. So I'll be very quick. So general information, description of the ecosystem services. So it's what we presented you before, like this: biodiversity, carbon storage, water clarification. And then people that had to complete valuation task. And this, when Sophak went to Nantes, we spent lots of time working on this because it's very crucial in the questionnaire. And then debriefing question, to be sure that people understood the questionnaire, socio-demographic question, income, age, and whatever. So this is an example of what people they completed. So it's very similar to what we had with the croissant. So croissant, if I come back very quickly here, you have the characteristic of the croissant on the left, and the column you have to make some choices between alternatives. And here it's exactly the same. So you have some characteristics. So here, ecosystem services, biodiversity, water quality, climate change mitigation, payments, and then people they have to choose. So each person they had to complete 12 different choices, and then we had main information on their preferences. So the results. We use a different kind of discrete choice models. The most common one is the conditional logit model, and there are more sophisticated models like the mixed logit model, which allows for heterogeneity. So the heterogeneity is based on the idea that people they can have different preferences. If I come back to the croissant, maybe some people they like when the croissant is big, others are small. So you can have some information on the average, but it's sometimes good to show whether there are some heterogeneity or not. And so we try to take this into account in the econometric analysis. And so the idea of the statistical analysis, just to give you a very overview of this method, is that for each of the alternatives, you assume that you can compute the level of satisfaction. In economics, we call it utility. And then you assume that people that are rational, they are going to choose the alternative that maximizes their satisfaction. And sometimes you can have some surprise in the result. But here in our case, what is very nice, and you never know, when you run a survey, you never know what the results in advance. And what is very good is that we get very good results, exactly what we expected. So here we remove no observation. So it's exactly the sample size of 232 students, no change in the sample size. And that what we found is that people that are more likely to choose an alternative when the level of biodiversity is high. Okay, just to say it differently, it means that people they like biodiversity, they like climate change, they like fighting against climate change mitigation, and they like when the water quality is high, and they prefer when the cost is low, of course. And here the cost, it was people, the way we expect the payment, it was an increase of monthly electricity bill for 10 years. So just to give you what the results of the survey, so we can compute the marginal willingness to pay, and so these are results we found. So $1.94 for the water quality, 0.79 for the climate change, and 1.918 for the biodiversity. But what does that mean? For example, let's take biodiversity. It means that on average, people that are willing to pay 1.18 US dollar per month for a period of 10 years to maintain the level of biodiversity. So yeah, so just so the value assigned to the mangrove is quite high. And here, in fact, we even didn't take into account, of course, all the possible services, but you have, of course, recreation activities. People that like going to the mangrove, enjoy. There are also some tourism. So this is a lower bound of the value, and still it's high. We found some heterogeneity, which is not so surprising. People have different preferences or taste. And yeah, and more work is needed to explore heterogeneity. So just to finish here, so it's a very interesting research project. And we believe that our results can be useful to policymakers. So it's not the research like, of course, our goal is also to publish in a scientific journal, this is for sure. But we really want to inform policymakers. So we spend lots of time in the survey design so that the results can be useful. And again, so he involved lots of effort in this method that he didn't know before starting, and now he knows the methods very well. So it's very good. And so the next step are to keep working on the data and writing a paper. And in the future, long-run future, it could be nice to do a really cost-benefit analysis, because now we have some information on the benefits, and yeah, to have a complete picture. Yeah, and again, we'd like to thank everybody, like Thomas Vanet and all the team.